What's up, gamers? You have TigerChainsaw here, and today I am reviewing one of the most underappreciated games on the PlayStation. That game is Driver from 1999, and Driver did so many incredible, influential things that doesn't get talked about enough, and I thought it's time to show Driver some proper love and give it a review. Now, if you do love Driver, I already did a retrospective on it with the series writer in which he discusses the plot and the foundation of Driver. That link will be in the description below. Now, if this is your first time on my channel, or if you just haven't yet, make sure you hit that sub button, especially if you love retro video game reviews, as I've got plenty already done and plenty to come. Alright, let's go back to 1999 and see why Driver was such an incredible title on the PS1. Released June 30th, 1999 for the PlayStation, Driver was developed by Reflections Interactive and published by GT Interactive Software. The game stood out for its realistic car physics and damage. Driver was detailed with city landscapes and busy streets. And this game is a real treat and doesn't get talked about enough. It's a game from my childhood. So let's jump behind that wheel and get this Driver review started. Starting with the plot. And major spoilers are ahead. But try and keep up. The plot of Driver is kind of complicated, and I'll do my best to sort it all out for you. You are an undercover cop named John Tanner who is an ex-race car driver. So naturally, you're great behind the wheel. Tanner gets informed by his police chief that he is going undercover to become a wheelman and infiltrate a dangerous gang. Tanner starts off in Miami as a getaway driver doing bank jobs. During his time in Miami, Tanner meets a pimp named Rufus who has an associate named Gene Paul. Gene Paul needs to be busted out of an armored car while being transported to another prison, so Tanner takes on the job successfully. Rufus has a girlfriend who is not happy with him and ends up killing him. She tries to escape Miami, but Tanner chases her down and turns her over to the police for interrogation. She reveals what she knows about Rufus and his associates and drops the name of a man named Castaldi who lives in San Francisco. Tanner begins to work in San Francisco and learns that Gene Paul is also working in town. After some more work, Tanner meets up with Gene Paul's boss, Castaldi, who already has a driver named Slater. Tanner actually knows Slater from their racing days as they were rivals. One of the jobs that Tanner receives is having to rescue a hostage. Once Tanner completes the job, the hostage reveals that Castaldi is working with a man named Don Hancock, who is running to be the President of the United States. Now, Slater isn't happy that Tanner is getting all this attention, and Tanner suspects that Slater is trying to set him up and is spying on him. In one of the missions, Tanner is able to frame Slater and get him arrested before moving to Los Angeles to work directly with Castaldi. Tanner is working right underneath Castaldi doing various jobs while learning that Castaldi is planning to kill an FBI agent. Tanner tips off the police in order to save the FBI agent, but he is able to maintain his cover during the whole attempted hit job. Despite this, the assassins think that Tanner is behind the failed hit. But he's able to slip suspicion by saying it was Slater who probably tipped off the police when he was arrested. Soon afterward, Tanner learns that there is a corrupt FBI agent working with Castaldi and Hancock named Marcus Vaughn, who plans to work with them in New York. So, Tanner travels to New York to continue his investigation. Once there, Tanner's police contact says that the police want Tanner to pull out of the operation as it's getting too dangerous and he's at risk of blowing his cover. Tanner refuses to pull out and learns that Castaldi, Hancock, and the FBI agent Vaughn are planning to kill the President of the United States so that Hancock can win the election. Now, the final mission has Tanner taking the president for a ride where Castaldi's men will do the hit. But when he picks up the president, he refuses to pull over, instead taking the president to safety. The end of Driver has Tanner meeting with his department and being informed that Castaldi, Hancock, and Vaughn have all been arrested. He's offered his badge back, but declines as he's disgusted that the police force and FBI agents were corrupt during his investigation. Tanner drives off into the horizon, leaving everything behind. Everything that should be in a video game is in Driver, starting with the main menu. Games today don't have interactive menus. It's always new game, continue, and options. And that's boring. Driver's menu is tailored to the game. It's not just some boring backdrop. It has character. There's mini games, cheats, and it has an option just to drive around, which you better believe I took plenty of advantage of. It was fun just to explore and see where I could drive the car or hone in on my driving skills. So the menu is top notch, but so is the preview video, another lost art in video games today. When you used to wait a minute in video games at the main menu, sometimes a preview video would play, and Driver had one of the best. Once you actually start playing Driver, the world of it feels so realistic. It feels like a city that's lived in with interesting characters and busy city life. Your missions will occur in Miami, Los Angeles, New York, and San Francisco. Each city is different from its structures and cars, really making you believe that you are in unique areas. You'll also get a new car in every city, so get used to driving it while you're in town. The biggest complaint that I hear about Driver is how tough the tutorial stage is, which is essentially the first mission. Tanner needs to impress some thugs into letting him be the wheelman, so he takes them to an underground parking lot where he needs to do things like 180s, slamming on the brakes, and zooming in and out of pillars. I remember playing it and beating it after maybe my third try, and that was as a 10-year-old. It's not as difficult as everyone seems to make it out as, so maybe you should just stop being a fucking pussy and beat the tutorial already. When I was discussing the plot, I was talking about some of the characters in there, and boy, are there some characters. Not only are you treated to cutscenes after completing a mission, but in between missions, you can take a break by returning to your hotel room. This little hub is where you can save your game, take a ride, or select your next mission by listening to your answer machine that is filled with job offers. This brings up another factor that makes Driver so amazing. It is super replayable. If you skip one mission during your first run, you can select it on the second. One thing that just had me laughing my ass off was the messages on the answering machine from the wrong callers. You go through the messages and you get to select which job you want to do. Sometimes though, there would be messages from wrong callers, including Chinese delivery men. That attention to detail really makes Driver come to life, and it's hilarious. Now, Driver is not a perfect game. It's pretty close, but I do have some complaints. As a kid, I could never beat it, but I could get pretty far. As an adult, I had absolutely no problem cruising to the last mission. Out of all of the missions, not including the last one, there was only one mission that I had to replay once. But that final mission is almost impossible to beat. The difficulty ramps up so extreme. I was so shocked when I was playing it. I could not believe that this was the same game that I cruised through the entire time until the last mission. This last mission is brutally difficult. I must have replayed it close to 50 times before beating it, and I am not exaggerating. You have to be perfect to beat this level, and I came so close on numerous times, but the fact that the mission is maybe 3 minutes long really helps motivate you to keep replaying it until you beat the game. Graphically, Driver looks amazing. I loved seeing the car damage or seeing my hubcap fly off my car as I sped around the corner. But it did come with some issues. If you get too much action on the screen, there will be some slowdown. But let's get back to the great stuff about Driver. One of the coolest factors about Driver is the soundtrack. It really makes this game come to life and feel like a cinematic experience as you're playing. But unfortunately, the soundtrack is heavily copyrighted, so you won't be hearing it in the music bed of this review. Another awesome thing about Driver is the ability to watch replays of the mission you just did. A lot of racing games have this where you can rewatch your race, but in Driver, you can rewatch your mission. And there were plenty of times as a kid where I just wanted to bask in my accomplishment, so I watched the replay. And there's plenty of different angles you can do. You can speed it up, you can pause it. It's really cool that you have a film director mode after all the missions. There's also some pretty realistic texture in Driver. If you're on the pavement, you can do burnouts and you will get a pretty good grip on your tires. But if it's raining or if you're going over grass, expect the turning and steering to be pretty slick. And finally, the controls for Driver are near perfect. You can handbrake, you can burn out, you can turn on a dime. The car handles great and it really makes maneuvering away from the police a breeze. Unless you're on the final mission. Speaking of missions, most of them last between a minute to 4 minutes. You'll have a locator on the map in the bottom right hand corner that tells you where you need to go. To me, I thought it was a pretty good navigational tool. Almost all of the missions involve getting to point A to point B in a matter of time, but you'll also be doing plenty of other things, including damaging other cars, running away from police, picking up people, or following closely behind a target. There's a good variety of missions, and I feel like the gameplay never gets stale. Driver is the complete package, a near perfect game for the original PlayStation. Amazing gameplay, immense attention to detail, a fresh story, addicting mini games, all make Driver a must-have. It also has a ton of replayability, which is why I'm giving Driver a 9.7 out of 10, which makes this game a masterpiece. If you own Driver and you haven't played it, please do yourself a favor and get through it. Toughen up and beat that tutorial garage stage. It's really not that hard, and the reward of opening up the game where you can play tons of amazing content and missions is well worth the hassle. Driver is an incredible, influential game that helped shape that genre for many years to come. So that's my review of Driver on the PS1. Now let me tell you something right now. Driver is way better than Driver 2. Now, if you want to hear my thoughts on why that is, stay tuned for my review on Driver 2. But I want to hear from you. Were you guys able to get past the tutorial stage in Driver? If not, did you guys really give up on it? Let me know your thoughts and comments on the original Driver and maybe some memories. Do you love this game as much as I do? Let me know, and while you're there, don't forget to like this video and of course subscribe to my channel, as it really helps me grow and I appreciate it. Okay, happy gaming, thanks for watching, and make sure you play a video game today.